Okay, we're live. I just want to say hi to anybody who's going to be joining, either through chat, and of course, you're always welcome to join the Zoom and the conversation by clicking on the link below in the description box. If you're watching through YouTube, if you're on Periscope, you'll have to go to YouTube or Vimm.tv or Steemit, and you can find the link there. Tonight it's just going to be an open topic where you could come on in and talk about any topic you want to talk about. I've got a actual guest here, 10th Man Rising, who was on Nathan Oakley's show. Was it 2 days ago?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Thursday, I think. Thursday, yeah.
Yep. And so 2 days ago. And so, I mean, I don't know much about your background, so that might be a good start. If you want
Fire
to
away.
go ahead, introduce yourself, I guess.
All right. California. I go by 10th Man Rising. I got that name from World War Z, the movie. I love that part of the movie where Brad Pitt, one of the characters, was talking to the guy in Israel and asked him how he knew the zombie crisis was about to happen. And he told a story of how they had this 10th man rule. And the 10th man rule is as simple as there's 10 people in the committee. If 9 people all say the one thing, it's the duty of the 10th man to disagree right away, because it wasn't a 5-5 or a 6-4 decision. It was 9, and he would be the 10th in a row. And they had seen so many mistakes in the past that it was his job to fight it. And Brad Pitt looks at him and says, "So you were the 10th man?" And he goes, "Precisely." And then he goes, "So how'd you know when to build this wall and keep the zombies out?" He says, "Well, when we saw reports that the undead were zombies and they were attacking, we decided to believe it." It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So that's how I got the name.
That's good.
And it was towards the last quarter of 2016 that I ran smack into flat Earth topic. I was researching WikiLeaks on the DNC leaks and the death or the thing of Seth Rich, I believe, at the time, or one of the topics. I can't exactly remember. And then I saw 31 pictures of Antarctica on WikiLeaks. And it was kind of a, baiting thing, like, why is he putting 31 pictures of Antarctica? So I went to it, and it was just 31 pictures of Antarctica with nothing, no commentary, just beautiful pictures of ice and lagoons and lakes and stuff. And
Was
I
there
couldn't figure it out.
was there a keyword that you used to find them? I've never searched WikiLeaks for Antarctica. I never thought about it. I mean, I wasn't against the entire globe Earth model until 3 months ago. So I mean, and the WikiLeaks stuff, of course, I looked since a long time ago, I guess, but I haven't really looked recently.
No, it came across my screen when I was researching either Seth Rich, I can't remember, or the DNC email leaks. I think that's what I was researching. And it it was right there in front of me. And because WikiLeaks was involved in the DNC leaks, it had this other little thing saying 31 pictures of Antarctica with a question mark or something. So I accidentally saw it. And so when I clicked on it, it was just pictures of Antarctica. And I'm trying to figure out what's the big deal. And that's when the next one next to it said Antarctica and flat Earth. And I said, well, what is this connection? And that was it.
Okay.
It just, I saw it right away. I mean, there wasn't even the resistance. It was like, oh my gosh. It's like my whole life I knew something was wrong, and boom, here it is.
I will have to look that up and see if I can find them. If you ever find them in WikiLeaks, please let me know. Like, send me
I
links.
think all you got to do is type in 31 pictures Antarctica WikiLeaks, and it's going to take you. And if the post reads, I don't know, was it September, August of 2016? That's the same one I saw. It will say something like that.
Okay. So someone had like a forum post on it.
No, it was YouTube. It was a YouTube channel.
Oh, it was a YouTube channel. Ooh.
Yeah, you can search YouTube. You'll get it.
Okay.
Yeah, 31 pictures. I mean, you do it now if you got your computer.
Yeah, I'm doing that now. Pictures.
So that was my start. And then I just delved into it, research. And I showed it to my wife, and I said, this is a big rabbit hole if it's true, and I'm going to try to disprove it. I'm going to put my mind on critical and not fall for anything. I'm going to ask for evidence. I'm going to not open my mind to anything. No, I'm going to be on it. I'm going to be, tasking it. I'm going to make sure that if someone makes a claim, they're going to back it up.
Yeah.
And I can disprove it. I tried to. I mean, I did. I mean, I didn't. There was no reason for me to accept it or believe it, or not to believe it or not to accept it. I had no dog in the game.
Yeah.
It was just curious. It was just curiosity, but it hit something in me that was there a long time. Like I said on the show, my science teachers would say in the 70s, this and that. And I go, well, how do we know that? And I keep raising my hand. Finally, every one of them said, look, I don't even believe this, but I have to teach it. Well, talk about indoctrination. I mean, my goodness, what do you mean? You don't even believe it, but you have to teach it? This was in the 70s in school. Can you imagine what they're doing now?
Yeah. I almost dread looking at my kids' school books when she gets higher up there. So, same with my son.
Mm-hmm. How old are your kids?
My daughter's 5. My son is almost 2.
Yeah, we homeschooled everybody. I knew enough, even before Flat Earth. I knew enough not to send them through the school system. I homeschooled all my kids.
How old
with
are
my
they
wife
now?
and I.
Do they have grandkids?
Yeah. Yes, I have. Let's see. My oldest is married at 33, I believe, and I have 2 grandkids from him. And then my middle is 32, and he's not married. And both of them are phenomenal human beings. And my daughter is my baby. She's married, and she's on her 4th child. So I have 6 grandkids.
Wow. Are they following the same path or the pattern?
It's so amazing. I showed them the same thing I saw when I first saw the evidence for the so-called flat Earth, and I said, "Look, I've been looking at this. I can't debunk it. I want your eyes on this and be critical." They just one video and they said, "Well, why? It's obvious. It's flat." It was like, wait a minute. How come? How come all my other friends are fighting it like going to a dentist or something? I mean, they just don't even want to talk. And here, my kids just actor, I don't know, but they saw it. They all see it. They all believe it.
They didn't have to go through that indoctrination. Give me a second. I think my mic is a little weird. I guess what does your wife think as far as?
Well, she's on board. She sees all the proofs. I said, well, what do you think? Again, we went at it critically. We didn't say, okay, I'm going to be open-minded. No, I say I'm not going to be open-minded. I'm going to check everything. I'm going to try to dissect everything. I'm going to go into it saying they're lying to me on purpose, that everything that these flat Earth people are showing is doctored up video. I went into it that way so that they would really have to prove it to get me on board.
Mm-hmm.
And again, after verifying sources with other sources that had nothing to do with the original source, then it was like, what do I know about all this before I saw it? How does that resonate with my knowledge that I know to be true? And I just had to go to the first chapter of Genesis in the Bible, and there it was.
So I take it are you Christian or?
Yes, I am a Christian.
Okay. Were you a Christian before Flat Earth?
Yes, I became a Christian, like I shared at Nathan's channel at age 14 and a half. Okay.
Is there a specific denomination?
$100 bill, $20 bill, is that good enough? No denomination for me. I think organized religion is part of the deception.
Interesting. Had it make you relook at the Christianity in any way after you became a non-globe earther?
No, actually, the Bible teaches flat Earth directly. Mm-hmm. It teaches what Nathan says all the time. You can't have gas pressure without a container. It's right there in Genesis. God put a container. So it says it right there. He put the sun and the moon and the stars inside the dome, the firmament. It
Yeah.
says it right there. So it's like, well, what book says that its author is God, who revealed to men to write what is written, proves gas pressure without a container by saying there is a container? It's right there in the Bible. So it validates it 100%.
Do you ever run across other friends that that are Christian and you talk to them about that? What do
Oh
they?
yeah. Oh, they think I'm crazy. And so I respond to them. I said, well, it's in the Bible. And they said, no, you're on the psyop. They're signing up. I said, maybe you didn't hear me. I said, it's in the Bible. And then they don't want to go there. They're, their soul might be saved, but they got their head in the sand. They don't want to find out. They don't want to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah. What do you think it is that certain people just don't want to go down it?
Same reason you and I don't want to do things. When people say to us, I remember many instances, there were things I didn't do because of conviction. Like I've never smoked pot. I thought it was crazy. I saw friends of mine getting high on pot and getting into motorcycle accidents, losing their legs and arms. I said, this is stupid. So I've never smoked pot, but that was more of a conviction.
Mm-hmm.
Then I could go to other instances in my life when someone's daring me to do something that I know is wrong and that would defile me as a person. Again, more of a conviction. But overall, if someone challenges me to something, I usually say, game on, bring it on. Let me see it. Because if you're right, then I have something to gain. And if you're wrong, you have something to gain.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't cross, say, my convictions, obviously.
Yeah. I get it.
Like I wouldn't ask you to do something wrong.
Yeah. And have you always been a farmer?
No, I was always entrepreneurial. I used to barter as a kid. I used to trade bubblegum for bicycles for wagons. And in high school or junior high school, I ran a candy business. I bought candy before school started, and people were wanting that sugar. By sixth period, I was selling a piece of gum for 88 cents and a number 2 pencil. So I was always entrepreneurial, and I decided to get 2 summer jobs, and those employers didn't really take good care of me. So I said, you know what, going this route ain't gonna work. I'll just start my own business. So I started a landscape business, very successful at it, sold it, went into sales, did good in sales. The guy at a fellowship I went to said, hey, there's a wallpaper guy. He needs an assistant. So I became a wallpaper hanger, ran a business, did good at that, and into financial services opportunity, did that, sold it, retired at 40, played golf for 10 years, fished, traveled the world, parts of the world, not all the world, and then decided that I need to be self-sufficient. I need to get my own water, my own land, my own food, my own everything. I read what was in food. I read what was in my meat. So I eat my own cow beef, my own pork, my own everything. I raise all my beef. I eat all my vegetables. Very few things I buy from the outside world.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Paper being on the top of the list.
I'd love to do that. How much land do you think you'd need? I mean, do you have a lot, so you don't really know, or?
No. Well, it depends what you want. Do you want to feed just your family? Do you want to feed your community? I mean, what do you want to do?
Say you're just focused on your family at first. How much land do you think you'd need?
No, you just need a backyard.
Just a backyard? Okay.
Yeah, because in aquaponics, which is using fish,
mm-hmm.
and you set up a system for fish, then you're growing above ground. You're not in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a liner in the wood bed of some kind with sides, 12-inch sides, and water is flowing in there from the fish tank. And then that water drains back, and it goes back into the fish tank. And there's a filtering system for some units, but small units really don't need it. The root system grabs everything. Okay, the solids will sink, and there's a swirl filter you can put that catches the bigger solids. So basically, you can have solar run it, you can have electricity run it, you can have DC power run it. You need oxygen for the fish, so I always got oxygen going for the fish. And I use tilapia because the heat in California, they work the best.
Yeah.
So every 9 months, I eat fish that I could harvest because, you know, they're having babies, 35 babies per 3 months per female. And then your food is growing every 5 to 6 weeks. So foam boards with 1-inch holes, you put a plug and the seed in the plug. And every 5 weeks you're harvesting. So you just kind of stagger it out and you have food all the time.
Wow. That is pretty awesome.
It is good.
Wow. I can't wait till I get there. About how long did that take to get everything set up?
You can go on YouTube right now and copy anybody's model, the one you like the most. It really is not that difficult. I've got a guy who has aquaponics consulting business, and I said to him, look, why don't you and I get together and design backyard systems for people who just don't want to put the time into it and make them affordable. So we've got systems that we can put together for under 1,000 up to 3,000. And it could be for backyards, it could be for balconies in an apartment complex or condo where you don't have much room. You just got to take care of yourself and be able to feed yourself, because, you know, if you have a natural disaster, let alone some EMP attack on this country, as people fear, it doesn't matter. How are you going to sustain yourself and your family if the trucks ain't running, the trains ain't running, the storehouses can't get the food to the stores that are near you? You got to be able to have all that.
Yeah. It might be a little bit easy because it's farm country here, but yeah, I get it. Like, we had the floods over here in the Midwest, and for a couple of days, a lot of the roads needed repair. Even the railroad tracks were the landmass underneath the tracks just washed away. So there's a lot of places we couldn't really drive to for a couple of days. But if it was really bad, like really bad flooding, yeah, we'd be in trouble for a couple months.
Yep.
And
do you have a generator? Do you have enough gas? Do you have water?
No. That's what we're starting to figure out, and you know, I need to start working on my own to generate some revenue to build up on the house and everything like that. We do like to do everything ourselves. We bought this place. I mean, it was in the market for like 117,000, and we thought it was too much. And I said, it needs a lot of work. We could probably get it for about 90. But my wife was like, no, because we're not going to get the house if we go too low. And I go, okay, what do you think? She goes, 99,000. I was like, oh, we could. It'll go for 95,000 easily, or 92,000. And she's going, okay, we'll try 92,000. And they accepted the first offer.
There you go. You got to ask. You can't be afraid to ask.
Yeah. But the thing is, there is a lot of work to be done. Like, the water here is very, very hard. So I had to get a water softener.
Are you on the well, or are you city water?
City water. So I've got reverse osmosis 5-stage filter set up. And we drink from that. And there's like...
See,
oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I would say I will never buy property without my own well.
Yeah.
Because I got 98 gallons per minute well. It's a beautiful well. The pump is 400 feet of water. So there's a drought for a few years in California. The water table about 10, 15 feet. I got 385 feet of water still. So you got to have your own water source, because without water, you're doomed. And this is how I think the elites will try to control people, is they're going to purposely stop food shipments and water and all that. And they're going to force you to go to certain places and all this. So it's like, someone says, what, you're a prepper? And I go, absolutely, I'm a prepper.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think we might be getting it wrong. Like because when I looked into geoengineering and chemtrails and stuff like that, a lot of people think that's a setup for either the UFO invasion or that's there to poison us slowly with all the chemicals, aluminum, strontium, and was it
Barium.
barium? Yep. But
Well, my beekeeper, you have to go to the industries that get affected by it. So if you go talk to a beekeeper, his queen bee has to be replaced every year. He's got to pay $35 to get a new queen bee, because all the pollen and the flowers, they have barium, and it just kills the queen. So it is doing something, and that's not good.
Yeah, and my wife, she's gonna be getting into beekeeping, not this summer, but next summer. And we still got a lot of work to do, but we're hoping to get it all set up sometime next year. You know.
No, I applaud you. Good job. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I don't mind. I'm okay being alone. So being out in the middle of nowhere is fine. I'm kind of tired of the city life. And so I've lived in the cities all my life. So now I'm 40, and we moved here last year when I was about 39. You know, I always worked for different companies, and made my way up the ladder. My last job was probably around $150,000 a year salary, and now I'm jobless, have nothing, and thinking of starting my own stuff. But I mean, being in a small town, it's definitely not going to be like it was. And I think I don't need a lot. I think once we start being self-sustainable, it'll be easier.
Well, no mortgage payment. If you can get rid of that as soon as possible, then it's just living expenses. And if you control what type of food you eat, if you grow your own food, you raise your own animals that you like, for meat, then, or if you just want fish, you can do that.
Fishing is really
just very
easy.
little.
Yeah, fishing is really easy. I mean,
what kind of fish? What kind of fish are out there?
There's walleye, there's trout. In the summertime, pretty easy catch. A lot of like bluegill and crappie. Sorry. And there's sauger around here where they stock. I've always been looking for some yellow perch, except it's just not cold enough right here in Columbus, Nebraska to find any. I'd have to drive maybe 2 hours north, maybe into South Dakota, or kind of west, I would say, northwest of Nebraska, kind of near either Colorado or Wyoming. But I'm not going to drive 2 hours each way just to catch a specific fish. But yeah, I don't feel too bad. I mean, there is a place, I think, if things got bad, up there's like a fish hatchery in Story. Not Story, I don't know why I'm saying Story. Royal, Nebraska. And it's a spring-fed creek. So
nice.
Spring-fed creek. It's a wildlife management area for just a big area. So I've seen a lot of deer. I've seen a lot of wild turkey, and with fishing, and there's just a lot of farmland around that's owned by others. I just think.
Well, the good thing is you have a community of people who, if you join forces, you can barter with each other, and you need this, they need that. Everybody helps. That's the best part.
Yeah, and but yeah, it's gonna be weird. One of the things I was hoping is trying to make the small community, because the problem I find, and it was something that I remember from one of my high school teachers is with the monetary system, the problem with, I mean, what's beneficial for a community is keeping the money flowing within the community. But the problem is right now we've got a lot of big corporate super centers, I would call, like Walmart and
big box stores.
Big box stores. And the thing is, the money that's spent there for the items aside from the employees, all of that money goes back to headquarters, wherever. And so the money supply here just keeps getting smaller and smaller, just like any other community.
The grand plan is working, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because we see it, and a lot of people probably notice it because they keep getting, less and less money. The career that they had keeps going under, so they have to switch careers. And
well, the most important thing about one of the topics we've already covered is that when you're self-employed, like I've been, other than that little stint where I tried working for other people when I was like 17, 16, whatever.
Yeah.
And I saw that they don't take care of you the way you could take care of you.
Yep.
Well, I've always lived off commission. So when people say I need a salary or I need a guaranteed income, what's my contract? What's, how many years can you get? I say, you give me a guarantee, I'm losing. I don't want guarantees. I want to get what I do. I want to get equal or whatever's right for what I do. So if I want to go sell expensive homes and I'm in real estate, then I'm going to get a bigger commission. If I want to sell real estate in a more moderate housing area, I'll make a smaller commission. If I want to go into selling something that people need, I'll just stay busy because people need it. But it's like once you get to that place where you're self-sustaining and you can create your own by doing, you really don't feel like at any time. Like right now, I don't have to work, but I'm doing farming because I live by a bunch of wineries here, and I know them. I know who they are, and they know me, and I see the kind of food that they serve, and I said, well, if I could grow better food, they'll buy from me. So without them even knowing it, I started my business. So now it's like, as soon as I'm ready, I'll just say, I'm 15 minutes away. I could bring it to you fresh. You got to go to the LA market. And how long has it been in the cooler? What are you paying for it? I mean, I don't see how I could not sell food. I've sold everything else.
Yeah. Man, I think once you can grow things that nature provides, it's like you just get a surplus. And it's so easy to just keep going. I would like last year, as we moved here, we got our strawberries late, but this year we're gonna have tons of strawberries, and we're excited for that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Love it. Love strawberries.
So it's gonna be fun. We had different plans. Like one plan was, we'll fix this up, and we might find a place that's bigger, a little bit more out there. That's definitely a time where we can find our own well. Right now, I think there's restrictions or regulations within the city or the town, maybe the district. I'm not exactly sure, because I talked to someone about it that was.
Well, you're fine, because all you got to do is just get enough water stored in your garage away from any sunlight, and it'll last you 2 years. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I figure I can filter a lot of water if I needed to, and just store it. I'm curious, because a lot of Christians are considered conservative as politically, and I'm pretty apolitical now, but I was always independent and non-affiliated. But you're talking about the DNC leaks and things like that. Were you more of a Democrat or liberal leaning?
I grew up in a Democrat household and we saw Robert Kennedy get shot at the Ambassador Hotel. Being immigrants to this country, the way it's set up, the lie, and it is a lie, they say that Democrats love the immigrants more than the Republicans. So I grew up in a Democrat household, and I got to this country when I was 7. I didn't know a lick of English other than a few words: book and look and shut up. Those are the only words I knew. And that was fun.
What's your background? I guess your ethnicity, if that's what we would call it.
Yeah, nationality.
Yeah, nationality.
I'm Armenian, but I was born in Well, I was born in the country of Iran because my dad's dad fled Armenia when the Turks massacred the Armenians in World War One.
Okay.
So lots of people fled. He happened to have fled. He had 45 members of his family killed. So he fled to Iran from Armenia to avoid the genocide, and then met his wife. And then my dad, of course, was born there in Iran, but he's Armenian, born in Iran. And then my dad got married, and then I was born there. And at 7, he knew we had to get out of there because he saw what we all see now. He saw it coming.
Yeah.
Because he would visit outside Tehran, which is the capital city.
Mm-hmm.
And in the outside of the city, there was a rebellion going on. And he said, this is going to eventually go to the city. I got to get my family out of here. So he brought us to the United States. We were sponsored. We came in legally. We took our oath 5 years later, became U.S. citizens. So the whole system is geared up to say that the Democrats love the immigrants more, but nothing could be further from the truth. And so then as I grew up and I started to think for myself and see things, this was before I was a Christian, I could see that, both sides were basically lying to you anyway. So, but I tend to be more conservative because once you become a Christian, your life is not your own. You belong to Christ. Mm-hmm. And so if someone says, do evil, well, that's not becoming of a Christian. Or if someone says, do this. So you tend to be a conservative because you want to live a holy life and have a good testimony to your neighbors. I mean, we're called to love our enemy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a great example to show, because if I really want to do what my feelings tell me to do, sometimes I want to exact revenge. I want it because that guy wronged me or something. But being a Christian, I've got to go through the filter and say, okay, God, what do you want me to do here? Because I'm really mad. And then he says, what does my word tell you to do? And I look in the word and it says, forgive them. It says, God will do the judging when the day comes, but you forgive them. So a true Christian's not going to do what he or she wants to do naturally through the sensory devices of whatever. He's going to think about it first and say, is this what would bring honor to God? And then do it. That's the way I try to live. I'm not always successful, but that's the way I try.
Yeah. So are you still involved in politics? Am I guessing that you're probably a Bernie?
I hate politics. I can't stand politics. I can't vote Democrats because they kill babies and they're proud of it. And I don't believe in that. So there's no way I could vote Democrat because they want to now kill babies after 9 months. So it's like, I can't vote for that party no matter what. Mm-hmm. And then I look at what's left and they lie too. So it's like, you got to vote somebody. So you either don't vote, which is stupid because then it's a no vote, or you vote for the best candidate possible. Now, if both parties were killing babies, I wouldn't vote for either or.
Okay. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where I'm not going to vote, and we're going to definitely differ on that.
Well, that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're voting by not voting because you're saying I don't like the option, so I'm just not going to play this game.
Yeah.
So the people voting really will become just those that are, and that crowd decides what your future government is.
Well, probably not not my government. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm tapering off. I mean, the government that was created, the United States Constitution, Bill of Rights, it was found on the basis that individuals have freedoms, and right now those freedoms aren't being upheld. So the government
you're exactly right, and that's why we need a reset, don't we?
Yes, we do.
we need people to rise up. 10th man rising, right?
But I don't know about a reset. Is just resetting with the system, with the foundations that are in place, is just gonna reset to the current outcome, just It just
No,
postpones
no,
it.
no. Reset means new wineskin for new wine.
Oh, okay. So just I get it. Okay.
You can't put new wine in an old wineskin; it'll burst.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, we see a lot of similarities. Do you think this is where we all meet up at the flat Earth type of thing,
No,
or does it keep
no.
going somewhere?
No, I think I have a lot of look. I have friends who aren't Christians,
Mhm.
and we hang. I mean, I can't save anybody.
Mhm.
God's the one who could save a soul for eternity, not me. I'm just one of the individuals who cried out to know Him. I think, like when someone says to me, "What do you think of? How's a person get to know God?" And I said, "Well, it's very simple. In your private room, your bedroom, wherever it's just you,
Mhm.
talk to them, call out, say if you're real, if you're the cause for all the effects I see, obviously, meaning creation and all that. I don't mean every effect because then we got the devil who's the cause of some of other effects.
Yeah.
Uh, but in the general sense, when I prayed, I want to know the first mover. I want to know the causer of everything. I want to know you if you're there because you have to come and break time and space to reveal yourself to me because I can't find you in this world. And the people who say they represent you have lied to me for years.
Hmm.
So you have to you have to save me. And so I went that I don't know how I knew this at 14 and a half, but that's the way I went to him. I mean, that was my inside feeling or belief when I prayed those prayers. And I was moved to tears at night saying, what happens when I die? What's going to be? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? I just threw everything I had and I threw it up there and I said, if you're real, save me. If you're not, then it won't matter.
Yeah.
And because my prayer was earnest and done in faith, he did save me 6 months later. And I'm 60, so 14 and a half to 60, I've been 100% totally committed to Christ, thanking him every single day that he would save a sinner like me. And so when I share my testimony with people, they say, "Oh, that's a nice story." Okay. And some people say, "Wow, you know, you think God will answer me if I pray?" And I go, "Well, if you pray in faith, He will, because it says it's impossible to please Him without faith. So you got to cry out. That's all you got to do is cry out, and then He'll answer you." I mean, that's really what you got to do. Now, I have when I did become a Christian, I had some friends who stopped hanging around me. So I remember going to the cafeteria at the high school and saying, "Hey, where you guys been?" Blah blah blah, and they say, "Oh, this and that." I go, "Well, why don't we go out Friday night or something?" And they said, "Well, we don't really want to hang with you anymore." And I said, "Well, yeah, I kind of got that feeling, but why?" They said, "Well, you became a Christian." And I go, "Yeah, so I became a Christian. Why don't you want to hang around with me?" He says, "Well, we feel uncomfortable." And it just hit me then that the scripture that says they hate the light and love the darkness made sense all of a sudden.
Yeah. That is weird.
It was weird because I really cared for my friends.
Yeah. I mean, it's like I guess I never had that problem. Like I never had any issues with my friends being religious at all. They were actually all, except for one who wasn't religious. Most of them were Christian, Mormon, Jewish.
Well, again, I would say religious is not the key word I would use to define a true follower of God,
Hmm.
because the lie of the devil is you could do good works and earn your salvation. Like Mormonism, I had Mormon friends too. Mormonism teaches that you get to heaven by doing good works, and you could even become a god, just like God, who is the God of this earth,
Hmm.
by getting married in the temple and doing all the Mormon things. And it's like, wait a minute, that's not what the Bible teaches. That's a cult. God's not. There's only one God. He's not going to let you become a god. And you find out they think they're going to die and have their own world with their celestial wives and impregnate them and populate another Earth. It's like, where'd you get that from? That's not from the Bible. Oh, that's from Joseph Smith and Brigham Young. Yeah, the two false prophets. So you just take every religion out there, whether it's Christian Science or Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, and all these other ones, and even the so-called Christian faiths who are so liberal now, and they don't even teach repentance of sin. They just have a seeker-friendly message and fill up the pews and get the money from people. That's not God. That's not the Bible.
I mean, does it? I mean, what do you think when you see a lot of these denominations where they're asking for more money so they can have a private jet, and people are
They're
still
phonies. They're phonies. It's obvious. I mean, they're charlatans. I mean, think of the greatest trick the devil did was to the hardest person to reach is someone who thinks they're going to heaven.
Yeah.
That's his greatest thing because I'm religious. I'm this denomination. I'm that denomination. I go to church. I do this. I do that. And I go, well, you don't even know what salvation is. You're doing this thing that your church says if you do this, this, and this, you get to heaven. Well, they're going to stand. Well, there's a story in the Bible, Matthew chapter 7, which these people are standing in front of Jesus. And they're saying, why are we being cast into the lake of fire? I mean, we are religious people. We did miracles in your name. We cast out demons. We did this. We did this. We did this. And Jesus looks at them and says, I never knew you. Which is a very interesting verse in the Bible because you can be religious and think you're serving God. And then when you die, you find out that it was all false and the true God never knew you. Well, I didn't want that. I want the true God. I don't want to think I'm saved when I'm not saved. And I don't want to think that I could add anything to my salvation. Well, see, salvation happens to you, but never by you. And that's what the Bible teaches. So when the sinner cries out and says, I want meaning to my life, I want forgiveness for my sins, but God, you have to do it for me. That's happening to you. But the sinner can't go do anything. You can't go and do 10 good works to erase the one bad you did. It doesn't work that way. You're dealing with an infinite, holy God who requires perfection. Well, who's going to match to that? I can't match to that. No one can. But Jesus did, because Jesus is the propitiation, the sacrifice. So what I can't do, he did. And if my faith in Christ gives me his righteousness, he takes my sin. And this is why Christianity happens to you, but it's never by you, because it's a gift. But you got to admit that you're a sinner and that you need this covering, this sacrifice. Why do you think the Hebrews were having temples and sacrificing innocent animals each year for the sins of the nation? It was a prototype of the final lamb that was to come, Jesus Christ, who would die once and for all for the sins of the world. And so what happened on the cross when they hung him, and he says, it is finished, that curtain in the temple is 3 feet thick. And I don't know, I think 60 feet tall or whatever it was, but 3 feet thick. It tore from the top down. It tore, meaning the old system is over, the old covenant is over, the new covenant's beginning. And so what was that curtain representing? Well, that was the Holy of Holies, where the priest, the high priest, each year would go once a year and offer a sin offering for the nation Israel. And he would go into that Holy of Holies. They would tie a rope around his ankle with a bell on it. And as long as the bell was making noise, they knew he was alive. and if it wasn't, they had to drag him out, because if you went in there, you would die. This is the holiness of God, and a sinful man coming to represent a sinful nation with an offering. And all of a sudden, God says, look, it was all a prototype. Why do you think I had you doing all this? Because I am now in a body called Jesus Christ, and I'm going to do it for you once and for all. So it's over. So he's the Messiah. The Jews don't accept it, but as the book of Revelation says, they will when the end times come, and all of the signs that I think, which are very close now.
All right. We're probably going to have to wrap up soon, but I definitely want to speak with you again. Maybe we can do one on religion or something like that, because I do like talking with Christians, and just what your thoughts on some of the older or non, I guess, canon canonical works like
Books.
the Book of Enoch or Nag Hammadi, which is more Gnostic, Dead Sea Scrolls, and there's a slew of others, and just like the potential issues, the King James Bible. What your thoughts on are with like the Freemasons and Royal Society and a whole bunch of other.
No, I'll give it my best,
Yep.
but my opinion doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's God's opinion that matters, and that's why everyone needs to make sure that they have the truth. The truth is the key. Now, what I would like to talk more about, if you have time, is causality. Because remember, we were on the Nathan Oakley show and we were talking about cause and effect.
Yeah.
Because this directly reflects back to God anyway, because who's the first cause? Who made it all? Who started the whole thing? You know, I mean, we got evolution saying it's a big bang. We got other people saying other things. You know, all these different ancient cultures say this, it's that, and all this, right? So, but if you just look at causality, let me ask you a question, or let me put it in a question format. Do we live in a world where we see no effects, or do we live in a world where we see effects?
I'd say we live in a world we do see effects.
Right. So then there would also be no causes if we lived in a world with no effects. And conversely, so if there are effects, then we should also know the causes of those effects. It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a cause and effect relationship. And what's beautiful about Nathan's channel is we're taking science to their own definition of empirical scientific method. And it's a method, right? And we're saying, prove to us through your own method that this is the cause for this phenomenon, this effect. So we see the effect, which is what? The dependent variable, right? As they say in science. The effect is a dependent variable. And then we're saying, why is that water boiling? As the last thing we were on the show, Dave talked about water boiling. And you say, gee, I wonder if, so you make a hypothesis, you make some guesses. And then now you go and try to figure out the cause, which is the independent variable. And so you say, as Nathan does in his example, I'll throw some acid in some water that's not in a boiling position yet and see if it would make it boil. So he throws the acid and the water doesn't boil. So there's your null effect, one of the two things you need. So then he says, let me try some heat. So he tries some heat, he raises the temperature, maybe even more and more. And finally it boils. So he repeats it, so now there's the cause. Heat makes water boil. So they figure out it's 212 degrees. They test it all the time at sea level. Now you go up in the mountain, you got to do it a little different, but it's still heat. The heat is the cause.
Yep.
So you know acid's not the cause, heat's the cause, and now you, in a scientific way, have proven the cause of boiling water. Right?
Yep.
So now we go back and say, okay, how did this whole thing start? Well, you can't apply the scientific method because you can't vary the independent variable. You can't go and vary God. You can't do it. Just like you can't do the earth or the sun or the stars in the sky because you can't control that either. So those things don't fall in the scientific method, but they are things that are created and we're able to see them and observe them and actually run our calendars by them and everything else. So the effect is there. So because it's an effect, there has to be a cause. Now, I may never know in a scientific way the cause, but there has to be a cause to an effect. We just agreed on that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So here's the deal. Let me see, I wrote it here because it's just so profound. I want to get it right. The only world which there are no effects and no causes would be a world where everything is self-existing. I'll say that again. This was really profound for me. The only world which there are no effects and no causes would be a world where everything is self-existing. I had to ponder on that because it hit me so good. And I said, wow, that makes a lot of sense. God is self-existing. He's not created. Because if he was created, then who created him, right? So God says he's always been. He's the Alpha and Omega, the first and the last, the beginning and the end. He's basically saying, I've always been. I'm self-existing. I don't need a maker. I am it. I am everything. Oh, okay. So you're self-existing. So everything you do is an effect. That's pretty powerful. Because the only way we can't have any effects or causes is if you and me were self-existing. we wouldn't need them.
Yeah. Oh man, there's so much more I want to talk about. Well, I guess last thing.
We'll do it again. I just wanted to share that with you because that cause and effect thing is so powerful. Because people say, well, how do you know God did it? I say, okay, well, let's not call him God. Let's just say what entity could do it. Mm-hmm. It would have to be a self-existing entity.
Yeah, and
because if it wasn't, then he'd be in effect.
Yeah, I wonder just how much things like earlier today we had a 2-hour talk about God, the mysteries of the unknown, flat Earth, etc. And one of the things I talk about is certain languages, certain symbols. We don't know what it is. We have to be taught, and once we're taught, we can communicate that it's nothing happens. For example, say there's some book written in the 1700s, and it's written in English. We both speak and read English, I'm pretty sure, and if we didn't know English and we looked at the writings, it would just be meaningless to us. It wouldn't provoke thought. It wouldn't provoke feelings. It wouldn't do anything. And then but since we do, we open that book. We read through writings. We understand. We're receptive to what it's saying. But the thing is, during that entire transaction, nothing material is occurring. Nothing, as far as we know, electrically or metaphysically. It's because we're just seeing something and interpreting it. It's not doing anything. But
I don't understand what you mean by that, because if I read a good poem or a good story, I get a good feeling out of it, and enough to want to copy it and send it to a friend.
I know, but we get an effect, and it's caused by the writings because we understand it. We can interpret it. We can translate it.
Correct.
But in itself, the book isn't doing anything. The writings aren't doing anything.
Well, they are. You're see, again, you sound like Slick. You sound more like Slick with that statement than anything, because he doesn't believe in anything.
No,
he even said he doesn't believe.
I don't believe either. But
how can you not believe it? You're holding it in your hand. You're reading something, so you got to believe it's in your hand because it's there.
Well, yes, but it's not actively. It's not like audiobook, where an audiobook elicits vibrations through the air where you're listening in, right? It's inactive. It's
no. I see what you're saying, but an audiobook is easy. And reading is better because you're involved more. It's more sensory being used than just your eardrum. An audiobook, like I was on a tractor today, and I had my earbuds in listening to an audiobook.
Yep.
But it's not the same as if I sit down and read a book. I get more feedback when I'm sitting down and reading a book.
Yeah, I know. What I'm trying to say is that there's nothing from the book. It's motionless. It doesn't do anything. There's nothing that can be measured from it. But when we see what we see and we understand it.
But that's not true. You're measuring a lot from it. It's a medium. It's a source. It's a source of communication through that medium, and the medium is a book.
We're gonna have to differ on this one, because that's why I brought up when someone who doesn't understand the symbols and the writings and the translations, it's not doing anything for him.
Okay.
After
no, let me see what you're saying. I think we missed one caveat here.
Okay.
Now, if you gave me a book written in Russian, and I don't understand Russian, I could say, can we get it translated in a language I could understand?
Mhm.
Because this is doing nothing for me.
Yeah.
I agree with you there.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, I'm just saying it. When you're seeing it, it's not eliciting a response to you. You can't process it. But the thing
Well,
is,
that's because you don't. But that's because you don't know Russian.
yeah, I know. But I'm just saying, the book in itself, the writings, whatever it is, if it's just there, it's not interacting with anything. It's you could call it inert. It's inactive. But someone who approaches it, they're the active ones.
Mm-hmm.
All they have to do is look at it. It's nothing else, and they see it. It's not moving. But if they're able to translate it and understand what it's saying, it's big. There's so much knowledge gained from that because it can spark a lot of thought processes and things like that. But still, the book in itself isn't doing anything at all. It's us doing it.
No, because it's a piece of paper. It's a bunch of papers with a written code, a language, so to speak, that you understand how to decode. And it's inert, like you said. It's sitting there, but the minute you pick it up, it becomes alive.
Well, the minute we understand it, it becomes alive.
Well,
but it's still inactive, motionless, not moving. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, obviously, if I picked up the Russian book, it wouldn't be alive because I can't read Russian. But if I pick up one in English and I can read English, then it becomes alive to me. And let's say you wrote a book in English. Let's just say you wrote a book in English and you mailed it to me. And it's about your journey to Nebraska and the first year of life there. It's just a little, memoir of yours. All right. So I get it in the mail. I know you now. And I say, hey, this is Ebon's book. It's here. I can't wait to lay my eyes on it. So the minute I sit down and I lay my eyes on it, I'm reading and the words are creating a visual in my mind of your story. Now that I got a face to attach to it, it's like it becomes alive to me.
Yeah, but that's because you're the receptor. You're able to receive it. You see what I'm trying to say?
Well, I don't understand your point then, because if it can't be read, how could I have that experience of? I have to read it to have the experience. I have to be involved. It's a real thing. It's not a spiritual thing. It's a real. It's matter. It's a book. I mean, I have to hold it. I have to read it, and because I know the language, it becomes alive. If it was in Russian, it's not alive, but it's still a book. Maybe a Russian might get something out of it.
Yeah, I think we're kind of going over each other here.
I don't know what you're trying to say by it, though.
Look, we're gonna have to do this another time.
No problem.
It's look, like a rock doesn't move on its own. It doesn't elicit any movement. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't need anything. It's just there. We call it inanimate objects.
Right.
I'm just stating like, say there's a symbol on that rock. Someone creates a symbol on that rock. And now that there's a symbol on that rock, it's still inanimate, it's still not moving, it still doesn't need anything. But someone who can understand that symbol walks by, they gain something off it. It provokes thought from it. And that rock and that symbol didn't do anything. It's still there, being inanimate, motionless, not needing anything. But still something is occurring between that inanimate object and the receiver, which we can be deemed as receivers, because we've somehow learned to understand that symbol. We noticed it, and now it's triggering an effect in us. The cause was there, but the cause was inanimate. It didn't have to do anything. We're the ones who are interpreted. So it's
well, you've seen the Rosetta Stone, right? The picture of the Rosetta Stone.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically a piece of rock and a sheet of rock or whatever it is, and it's got all the symbols there.
Yep.
So it's for decodation. I mean, if I'm saying it right, there's messages in those symbols. They're meant for your eyes, my eyes, somebody's eyes. They're meant for it. So they have to put down something. If they put down sand, then the next wave's going to wash it off. So they put down rock, so it's permanent. So it is a medium. That's all it is. It's a medium. What's more important is the decoding of the message on that medium. So the rock itself is inert. The rock doesn't say anything. But because that's a known language and someone speaks it, it's imprinted on that medium, the rock, which by itself doesn't do anything. But the language is alive because the recipient understands the symbols.
But is the language vibrating? Is it emitting frequencies? Is it emitting some type of light? Is it emitting anything?
I know it's not doing any of that. What it's emitting is the fact that I know what that letter means because I'm skilled in that language.
Yeah, I know. So that's all I'm trying to point at is that.
Well, that's obvious though. I mean, it's
yeah, I know, but I'm just saying how amazing that is, right? That we can the understandings that we can have, whether it's through symbols or writings or math or nature, we if we are able to understand it, we can receive so much from it just by knowing how to interpret it.
Absolutely. Well, it's like a radio station. Let's say you like, what's your favorite type of music?
I don't know. It varies on the mood, really. Like
you like classical?
Yeah, I could like classical.
Guitar?
You know, I could like sometimes I like rock. Sometimes I like more alternative. But sometimes I actually like the acoustic versions of those. You know, it's really based on.
So like Jesse Cook, you know Jesse Cook?
Actually, I don't know Jesse Cook.
Well, if you hit Jesse Cook, he plays the Spanish guitar, you know, music.
I'll have to check him out.
Yeah. So when you listen to Jesse Cook, I forgot what I was going to say, but because I'm sorry, the dial. So you're in your car and you turn your dial and you find a station that plays that type of music, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say 95.5.
Yep.
Well, if you turn the dial to 95.3, you don't get that frequency anymore. You get some other music maybe.
Yeah.
But so you just dial it in to where that message is being sent to you. So frequency in that sense with the radio makes a lot of sense to me. Because you'd be able to find it on that frequency because that's where the message is being sent out of. But it's just a medium. It's just a medium.
The reason why I'm saying this because it can go on further, because for us humans we have to leave messages in our own language, and of course in the Christian, you know, it's God. At least the written word says that God only understood the Hebrew language, and
no, it doesn't. No, because New Testament was written in Greek and Aramaic.
It had to be translated from.
Correct, but it was written in Greek because the Greeks did a good job of getting the whole history of the Greeks will tell you that. They wanted their language everywhere, and it was everywhere. So when Christ came at the appropriate time, it was written in Greek.
Yep. Okay.
Which is a
nice the point is it had to be witnessed by a person. It had to be written from a person. But I think there's also that if we can find a way to know ourselves, we can see the written word or the words or the thoughts, the feelings expressed in nature itself. Because if it's
nature is created. But nature is a created thing. So why would you worship nature when you can worship the creator?
Well, what if worshiping nature is worshiping the creator?
It isn't. You can't worship the thing created is never to be worshipped. You worship the one creating it. That's idolatry. That's what idolatry is.
But when you see God in nature, aren't you worshiping God who created the nature, which you're seeing the beauty of his work?
You misunderstood.
I understand you, but
no, I don't worship creation. I say, God, you're so awesome for creating this dog this way, or this bird, or this lake this way. There's nothing wrong with that because you're attributing it to the creator.
You're putting words in my mouth. This pen, I appreciate the pen, right? It's beautiful, but I don't worship the pen. I am amazed by whoever created this pen. Think of the pen as nature, as the world, is like I'm not going to worship this. This is a tool. This is just something that it's a part of what the world that it is. But the idea that whatever created this probably created me, created everything that I see around me. That's and it's a beautiful thing. Although there are things that
Well, so far so good.
Aren't
so far,
good.
what you say, I have no
but
problem.
But still, it's you know, just seeing the beauty that's created. You can't but
that's great.
be in awe of the creator of it. That's
Absolutely.
all I'm trying to say.
No, nothing wrong. It came out as something else. Maybe my fault of not understanding.
Oh, no
but
problem.
It came out as the creation could be worshipped. And I said, well, no. Why would you go for second best when you go for?
But and then my thought is, okay, just like a piece of painting. You know how someone has the author has the writing, or there's certain hidden messages within the painting. It's just like this. It's like if I can focus on this and see just the details that may have passed me by, but now I understand how to receive the workings of the creator, then I could see, hey, oh my goodness, this has something that the creator input into here, and I can understand.
Well, the creator of the pin is a person God created who has the ingenuity and the brains that God gave him to create that pin. So yes, everything like that is appropriate.
Yeah. So
no, it's very appropriate.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. So anyways,
I mean, you're doing your house. Once you're done with your house, you can look at it and people will come and say, you and your wife did this? You say, yeah, no problem. Wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they're like, wow, that's, yeah. Rather than just saying the house is, wow. It's like, I don't care who, yeah. You know, they're going to be like, wow, that's your work. But, you know, it's just, we definitely need to do another talk. But if you ever see me on, feel free to join me. Whether
you gotta walk me through this. What do you mean when I see you on? I'm not savvy on this stuff.
Oh, I mean, just like on Nathan Oakley, if you subscribe to my YouTube or any other channel that I live stream on, I live stream multiple platforms, and then just go ahead and join the Zoom. And
all right, so if I go to my Hangouts where you are now,
I don't usually do that in Hangouts. That's usually for Nathan Oakley. When I live stream, I'm not gonna have Hangouts or Skype on, just because it would just keep beeping for people and me, and just distract me. So
okay, so how would I? Again, I don't know what. How would I know where you are if I don't know where you are?
So if you go to YouTube, search for my name, Ebon Kim, you'll find it, and just subscribe and click the bell. So
I did. I got your channel. Okay. So now what?
So that's it.
So okay, I know, but if I got your channel, then what do I do? Just go to it and hit that thing and see if you're live or not?
Yeah, just go to it, and then in the description box, so you'll see the video, and then a description area, and then chat area. In the description area, it has the same link. So basically, you can actually just go to the email that I sent you, the Zoom link. That I don't think that's going to change. So you could go ahead and click on that and just participate in the talk.
Okay.
I talk about different subjects. Sometimes I'll do like this open topic and just talk about anything. But
how often do you broadcast?
It varies. Depends on where I'm at, what I'm doing, family time, wife time, you know.
Sure.
But
you don't have any set time.
Yeah, and whatever I'm researching. But usually it's about this time or 2 hours earlier. Like we've been on for about an hour 10. But usually I'm actually I try to start half an hour earlier than how I started today, but I was watching a movie with my wife, and so
that's more important.
Yeah, thanks.
No problem. Hey, listen, I really enjoyed the conversation and would love to talk to you again.
Same here. All right. Thank you. I'll see you later.
All right. God bless.
You too. Bye.